Kinsey. Welcome to the Crush the Rush podcast. I feel like you have been someone that I have been wanting to interview for so long. You have been behind the scenes in our business for so long, and I'm so excited that today is the day. So welcome.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so stoked to nerd out with you about all things AI because I know we're both AI nerdy. And so this is going to be great.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the time that this podcast airs, so a year ago, almost to date, I took the entire holiday break and was like, I'm going to embrace AI. I'm just going to learn as much as I can. And I ended up learning how to do bots, which led to like changing our program and things like that. And so I am super curious, like what 2026 is going to bring. And so I'm curious as an expert in AI, what do you think 2026 has in store for us?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I was just kind of thinking about this yesterday because it did feel like 2025 was such a whirlwind in so
Yeah.
many ways, right? And like similar from what I saw as far as like AI in the online entrepreneur space, especially like AI was, had gone mainstream about a year and a half, 2 years ago at the start of 2025. But people were still kind of like learning about AI and stuff. And often online business owners are so motivated to learn all the new things and it's fun for us, right? So in 2025, I saw a lot of online entrepreneurs, especially get started like getting curious about AI and really, and then I feel like AI too, it's one of those things where you might be, hesitant at first to be like, oh, I need to learn about that, but whatever. And then as soon as you kind of get curious about it, you're like, oh my gosh, I can do all these things. This is so cool. And you kind of go down a rabbit hole of like wanting to learn about it, right? But what I saw in 2025 for sure was like a lot of online entrepreneurs, especially like getting super excited about AI, but like the rest of the world was somewhat catching up to us. You know what I mean? And it depends on your audience and all that different stuff. But it was one of those years where it was really interesting. I think of it as like a people figuring it out when it comes to AI and like whether that's business owners figuring it out, like how do I use this? How do I implement it myself? And then sharing it with their people and their people are like, wait, what is this? How do I use it? Okay. And like, that entire experience is a process of getting comfortable, opening your eyes up to it, all that different stuff. And so I think in 2026, it's going to feel a little bit different, right? I think that people are aware of what AI is. I think that there's going to be a few bigger conversations, especially around like, what does this mean? Like the impact of AI is really becoming more clear, which I love in a way because we need more people talking about what the impact and the future of AI is, right? I also think that people are going to be more intentional about the way they're using AI, about the way they're integrating AI offers into their courses and products and different things like that. It felt like quite a few people last year were like, here's a bot, but like they didn't do enough intentionality thinking through the entire user experience or all that different stuff. And I think now in 2026, people's eyes are open more to, oh, okay, like this is how we use AI. So how can I be more intentional? How can I make sure I'm creating valuable AI offers or being intentional about the way I offer this to my people and stuff like that. So, and then there's also just next level things coming out about AI that are easier to implement now, like no code software creation and just like agents and automations and different things that we're figuring out we can use AI in different ways and offer it to our people in different ways. I think that's like really exciting as well,
Yeah, I want to come back to some of the things you mentioned that were sort of becoming easier and things we can look forward to in the future. But one of the things we talk about on this podcast is building a life first business. So like creating a schedule that makes sense as an entrepreneur. How are you using AI to help you with that?
A life first business. I love that so much, Holly. I love everything about like your brand and like our anti-social school and all those different things. Yeah. Well, that is something that I love to bring up, especially when I'm talking to entrepreneurs, but also women entrepreneurs, because it is one of those things. I'm not super money motivated. Like I, of course, have developed my money mindset over the years. I'm starting to realize, like, how wealth brings impact and all different things. But like ultimately, what I'm motivated by is like enjoying my life. Enneagram 7 over here, guys. And so I I always love to remind people AI can help you to not just see more success, make more money, save more time in your business, but also it allows you wiggle room to live your life.
Mhm.
And as an entrepreneur who we are ambitious to our core, like down deep, we somewhat have to set boundaries sometimes with ourselves. If that is something that is important to us, is okay, I'm using AI and oh my gosh, I can do so much more. Like I'm so ambitious. Let's build this thing. But you have to remember to set boundaries with yourself as far as like, okay, like, can I post more times a week on social media or can I send out more emails or can I do all this? Yeah, but like, should I? Or should I just like instead allow some like balance, some
Yeah.
coasting, some wiggle room and stuff? Yeah. And so I think it's really about embracing AI, but then also being intentional about how you spend that extra time, energy, money. And I think part of that should be enjoying the finding that balance that we're all chasing. And I also do think as leaders or AI users, part of that should be like, how can I reinvest this for like making a bigger impact, which I think women are so good at in general too.
Yeah, I love that. I always joke that like AI doesn't get tired, right? So like when you're like deep into a chat, it's like, would you like me to create this for you? I can keep going. Should I do this? And I like have to set a
Yeah.
timer and be like, no, we're not doing anymore. So
Uh-huh.
yeah. But one of the things that we talked about before we hit record was having, I almost feel like it's like girls who code, but it's like girls who love AI. So I feel like a couple of years ago, there was, and I think there still is a big push to like, young girls should learn how to code. Young girls should learn technology. And I think women entrepreneurs specifically should learn AI and embrace it. And so I'm
Mhm.
curious, like, what are you seeing in that space? And what are some things that we can lean into this year to try to learn more about it?
I love that so much, Holly. And I love it that you brought it to the place of girls who code, girls who love AI,
Yeah.
nerding out together. Let's embrace this together. Let's have fun with it. Because ultimately, I do think that that is the solution to a problem that it has become very apparent. So there was a study done that men are twice as likely to use AI as women.
Mhm.
And I think this is really interesting. It makes sense to me because men have always been welcome in science, math, tech spaces. They've always been praised for innovation, for delegation, for productivity, all that different stuff. And so it makes sense that men would, of course, like embrace AI without hesitation, right? But in the multitudes of conversations that I've had with women entrepreneurs about AI, it's been really, really interesting to hear how hesitant a lot of women are to use the tools and or just like picky and choosy about the way they're using the tools or making sure that they're using the tools in a way that like aligns, which is really important to me too. But I still remember the first time a woman was interviewing me for her podcast and she looked at me and she said, "What do you say to the women who feel guilty for using AI tools, who feel like we're cutting corners or
Mm.
we're not doing the work?" And had one of those moments where I was
Great
like,
question. I've never
oh,
way.
girl, it was kind of, I was like,
But I don't feel guilt for that.
yeah. Well, it was kind of one of those funny moments, like live on a podcast interview, where
Yeah.
I'm sure my face looked like that DMV sloth from Zootopia because I was like, oh, like that slow realization, like, oh, this is a thing, right? And it's like way bigger than AI. But it makes sense because women have always had to work twice as hard to earn half the respect. We've always had to show that we're working hard in order to be worthy of the success that we see, right? Women have to work extra hard to just keep the world spinning, juggling everything at home and at work and stuff. And so, and if we don't, then we're, somewhat like shamed for being lazy or bad or selfish or whatever it is. And so when it comes to using AI tools, there is somewhat this like deep-seated inherent like looking around like, should I be doing this? This feels weird. Am I going to be judged for this? Am I going to devalue my work in using AI tools? And so it is one of those things I like to bring up because I think that a lot of women feel that and resonate with that, even if we don't even realize what's going on. But when you open your eyes up to that and like be like, oh, I am feeling like a little weird or hesitant, and like you can almost like flip the script and really instead embrace it. And then the thing you said about community, right? That I think is the solution to all of this, because when I get a lot of different women from a lot of different industries talking to me about AI tools, they are so freaking excited to talk to me because they're like, oh my gosh, I don't get to talk to about anyone else, like, or to anyone else about this, right? And like, and that is the thing too. When you're using AI alone, it's lonely, right? And like you feel kind of like, ooh, is this a secret? Or like, should I? And there is also that like extra layer of people, women, honestly, let's be honest, women trolling other women online about using AI tools, right? I've seen so many threads spats where people are like, oh my gosh, you're using AI. But you know what's so weird, Holly? I have never seen another man shame another man for using AI
I've never
tools.
seen it. This is like a whole new world to me. I had no idea that that was happening.
Yeah, that like people are shaming people. Well, you know, I'm all up AI's butt on the internet all the time. So I see most of the things.
Wow. Yeah. That's another reason I don't have TikTok or Threads or anything like that. But I do want to get a little more tactical. And my first question is, I'm super curious, how does AI show up for you in your like day to day? What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, ChatGPT is like my collaboration buddy at this point, right? And like I really have it open on my computer all the time, and like as I'm working through my day, whenever I feel like stuck or like I need a little organization or help or like I need a little bit of getting the ball rolling, I'll usually go to ChatGPT and I'll be like, here's what I'm thinking, this is what I'm dealing with, whether that's, you know, starting the morning out with like, holy crap, I have all of these things to do. Like help me create my to-do list for the day. And or like, you know, brainstorming, strategizing, writing captions, writing emails, of course. Like ChatGPT is just kind of my go-to for anything. It helps me with like project management in lots of ways too. And then of course I use other AI tools like Descript is one of my favorites for podcasting, of course. I do make automations now. I've been building out a lot of projects in like Make, which is automation software. Yeah, just like lots of different ways AI is popping up in my day to day for sure.
Yeah. Talk about Descript and Make for those that are listening that are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Okay. So guys, if you have any sort of video editing to do or anything like that, when it's not necessarily cinematic and like Descript can do like reels editing and social media editing, but it's more for like word heavy stuff. It's not necessarily like Instagram reels that are goofy and stuff. But if you have any word heavy videos to edit, courses, podcasts, quick reels that are like talking heads, anything like that. Descript is a video editing software that is super easy to edit because it's transcript editing. So you drop the video in, it immediately generates the transcript. And then when you delete a word in the transcript, it deletes it from the video. So that's like kind of the first little magical part of Descript that makes video editing, especially for podcasts, so great. It also has a lot of like AI automagical features. Their AI built-in AI is called the Underlord, which I always just chuckle at. Yeah, but you can like clean up the audio with like their studio sound in one click. Oh my gosh, one of the best things is like the automatic clip creation, and it does the whole like ranking of like how good it thinks each clip is based on audience perception and different things like that. You can automatically export to so many different platforms like through Descript. And honestly too, if you're a course creator, one of my favorite things about Descript is it has live video embed hosting, right? So I embed all of my course videos into Thrivecart, but they're hosted in Descript. And it's amazing because I can go back in and edit the video and update the
Wow, nice.
video without having to like download, re-upload, or anything like that. I literally just click update. I don't even have to re-embed or anything like that. And that's been really nice, especially for me hosting courses with AI when I'm like, there's
Wow.
lots of like little mini tweaks I probably need to make. So yeah.
I love that. Okay, tell us about Make.
Yeah, Make is, I like to compare it to Zapier if we have our Zapier people out there. It's a similar concept where you can essentially connect a lot of different softwares, tools, apps together in an automated sequence. So it's where, and one of the things too that I love is that you can really easily integrate AI tools into it, which I think is so cool for creating AI automations that you could potentially create. Like I call them automagical offers, right?
Yeah.
Or just like whatever that looks like. But essentially, it's just like connecting different apps together in an automated sequence. One of my favorite things that I'm teaching now is automagical playbooks, I'm calling them, right?
About that. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I love this concept, and you can like apply it to lots of different things, right? But essentially, an automagical playbook is imagine someone fills out a form, like an intake form, an onboarding form, or just like some sort of almost even a quiz or something like that. They fill it out with like all their personal information that you need to know, and then when they hit submit, their form responses go through an automated sequence of AI prompts or whatever it needs to look like, where AI can analyze their answers and then automatically generate the playbook or the deliverable or whatever it is, right? And that deliverable can be automatically generated into like a Google Doc or a PDF or something like that. And essentially, you could just automate it all the way so that it's delivered for them, this customized, personalized playbook delivered to their inbox within 5 minutes of them hitting submit on that form, right? And so this concept can be applied for lots of different things, whether you want like a free little like automated checklist, personalized checklist for you, or you could do a personalized audit, you could do a playbook, of course, or a strategy. You can do lots of different things where your people get this deliverable that is super high touch based on your strategies, your frameworks. Like essentially it could be like an audit or a playbook that you would create for them, customized, personalized for them, but it's not taking so much from you as like the business owner. And so I just love this concept so much because it's one of those things where I used to do social media audits, and like I was like, this is so fun. And it would still take me so much longer than like I could justify for the price that I had, that people would buy it for, right? And it's a way of scaling high touch, somewhat one-to-one personalization without demanding more from you, and you can actually justify it. And it's a way to really increase your impact and your value for people without, again, giving more of yourself,
Yeah, I love that. What tool are you most excited about to learn more about?
Oh, I love that question. You know what I'm really excited about now is learning more about agentic AI, which is kind of like I like to compare agentic AI to somewhat taking like the Make automation situation where it's like you're connecting your apps and you're getting AI to actually do things for you, and also mixing like a chat bot experience or a custom bot experience where you have this collaborative back and forth and stuff. And so agentic AI is somewhat more like you can interact with this thing and then you can say, okay, go do this, go send that email, go do this thing, and it will do it for you. It's one of those concepts. I think it's like become somewhat of a buzzword in the past few months if you're in the AI space, and it's still very much in development and like people figuring out how to do it correctly and stuff. And so that's what I'm excited to like dive more into in 2026 is integrating more of that into our businesses.
Yeah, I love this. I feel like my goal for 2026 is to go from like, I feel like I'm beginner, maybe to almost to intermediate to like advanced user. Like I want to learn some of these new things. If you are a beginner and you're like dabbling in ChatGPT, what's one thing you would share with someone to make it more customized to them, given they've already taken the step of embracing it and not feeling guilty about using it?
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yes. This is actually one of those big mistakes, quote unquote, that I see so many people making when they first start using the tool, and especially for your business, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is so great. I'm going to use this thing all the time. They go to ChatGPT and they're like, write me a social media caption. And then it comes back with something that's like super cheesy and like way too many emojis. And they're like, can you like cut back on the cheese? And then it comes up with something that's like super professional, and they're like going back and forth with it. They're like, why can't you just sound like me, right? And it's because I always like to compare it to like hiring a new human intern for your business. Like imagine you hired a new human intern first day on the job. They walk in the door, they're all excited. It's their new job. And you look at them and you go, write me a social media caption. And like that's all you tell them. And you don't tell them anything about your business, your brand, your strategy, your customers. They would try to write a social media caption for you, but they would not do a very good job, right? So of course, like the solution for that human intern is instead they would walk in the door and you'd be like, hey, welcome. This is what our business is all about. This is our ideal customers. Here's our strategy. Here's the task I want you to do. Okay, like now write me a social media caption. They would do so much better. And that's what you have to do with your AI assistant as well, right? Train AI on your brand, your business, and the task at hand first. And that's how you will get the best results from the get-go using AI. And of course, I do have a framework for doing that if you want me to share that. But
yeah, I would love to share. And I think this is really important because I mean, I use AI quite a bit to like write different things or brainstorm. And I want people on my team, get back to me and they'll be like, how did you do that so fast? That sounds exactly like you. But it's because I think it's the concept of like slowing down to speed up. Like it took a minute. I mean, it took a few hours, if I'm being honest, to like share all the things about like, what's this program about? What words do I use? Like, who's my target audience? All the things. What colors do I like? Like, how do I speak? Don't use dashes, or actually I do use dashes, so it's fine. But it took time to do that. And so I think, it is a quick fix, but like it takes a minute. So I would love any tips around your framework for that. Tell us.
Yes. No, I love that. And I love how like in depth you got too, right? Because that's another issue. A lot of times people are like, well, I told it to write in a friendly tone, or maybe they even got like a little bit more specific, but still it's like, girl, there is so much more to your business than that, Okay, so my favorite way to do this is create what I call a brand blueprint, right? And I actually have a course for this that walks you through ChatGPT helping you create your brand blueprint. So my brand blueprint is like 80 pages. These things are giant, guys, because like Holly said, it's a lot of information that ChatGPT really does need to know if you want it to completely understand your brand and give you the exact perfect responses from the get-go, right? So yeah, you create a brand blueprint. It's essentially a giant brand strategy document. It's this external document. I host mine in Google Docs, and it's so easy to just host it there. But I love having this external brand blueprint document that outlines what I call the 5 core strategies of your brand, because then you can use that document to train ChatGPT again and again. You can upload it. It can read the document in like 10 seconds. You can upload it to a custom GPT. You can share it with your team for them to use with their own ChatGPT or whatever, or tool of choice. You can upload it to projects. Like there's so many ways you can use this document. And once it's created, yes, it does take a few hours, but it's so freaking worth it.
Exercise, I think. I think it's cool.
I know. You know what's hilarious? One of like the more common feedback, like things that I get from my students is it made me cry. Like the process made me cry. I'm like, I don't know if this is a good thing, but like it is, because it's like they feel so seen, and they're like, ChatGPT helped pull these things out of me that like I couldn't necessarily clarify or put into words, but like it is like kind of a nice process. But yeah, for me, what I love to include in the brand blueprint, I call it the 5 core strategies. I call it the vibes framework. ChatGPT helped me come up with that. But the first one is vision and values. And of course, that is the foundation of who your brand is, right?
Mhm.
It's the things that you stand on. It's what your brand stands for. It's what you want to do and where you're going, all those different things. Telling it just like that core piece of your brand is so important because it gives ChatGPT that foundation to know who you are. We
Mhm.
also have your ideal customers is I. So that is going deeper than just demographics or lifestyle psychographics even. It's also, of course, pain points and desires that you help them achieve. And also it's who your relationship to your ideal customers, right? Like, are you kind of a best friend? Are you more of a teacher? Are you maybe a motherly figure? Who knows? But like that, I think really helps ChatGPT understand not just who they are, but also who your brand is to them, right?
Mhm.
And who you are to each other. The third one is your brand voice and writing style, of course. So that, of course, is going deeper than just friendly, right? Like your brand is so much like more interesting than just friendly. You're getting super, super specific with like the descriptive words of your brand. And then also like formatting style, emoji usage, humor style is a huge one to get ChatGPT to help like understand how you write and how you crack a joke, right? The next one is your ecosystem of offers, right? Your offer ecosystem. So this is the one I think a lot of people skip, but if you do have a training document on all of your offers, what they are, and how they fit together in the strategy of your business, that really helps ChatGPT to strategize for you,
Mhm.
like on a big level, if you're like planning out your month of campaigns or whatever, but also on like a smaller level, if you want to write a quick Instagram caption that naturally leads to a call to action for X freebie, and then that leads into this offer. Like if ChatGPT can understand that, it can like strategize for you in a very like fast, easy way that makes sense for you. And then the
Mhm.
final part is your signature messaging. And that is one of the more important things too. I think people forget. Your signature
Yeah.
messaging is just like the themes that you talk about again and again, the stuff that you want to be known for. It's also your brand stories, which I always like to remind people ChatGPT cannot know your lived experience or the lived experience of your customers.
Mhm.
And that is one of those things that really makes you stand out. It really personalizes your brand. And if you use ChatGPT to write your content for you and you miss out on storytelling, that is really going to impact the like personalization of your content. It's really going to impact your audience connection. But the cool
Mhm.
thing is if you share your stories with ChatGPT, it can start integrating that into the content that it writes for you, right? So really sharing your personal stories and your brand stories with your AI assistant is so important. For example, my ChatGPT knows that well, not recently anymore, like about a year ago. And this is so funny. This comes back to the first question you asked me. How do you live a life first business?
Yeah.
Well, ChatGPT gave me more wiggle room to where I decided I was going to start a new crafting hobby,
Oh, I
creating
love
bead,
that.
yeah, like seed bead earrings, as I'm like creating the seed bead
Oh,
earrings. And I'm like, ooh, I want to like name these seed bead earrings like these different designs and stuff. So I'm like brainstorming names for my different designs with ChatGPT. So my ChatGPT knew that I
yeah.
was starting to create seed bead earrings. So now it like integrates that into my content like all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you can do cool things like create earrings. I'm like, oh yeah, you remembered ChatGPT. So yeah, that is like so, so important. And then also too, the last one that's so important is your opinions and your
Mhm.
soapboxes. Because ChatGPT can write an Instagram caption about social media marketing all day. But if it doesn't know that like I'm one of those people who rolls my eyes at Instagram and that's why I love the antisocial school so much because
Yeah.
I'm one of those like okay, like let's not
Oh,
take
yeah, so
Instagram
there.
too
Sometimes we're
seriously.
not.
Like if ChatGPT didn't know that that was my approach to social media marketing, it would give me like the worst content that would not make sense for my brand, right? But like when it knows your opinions, and that is one of the biggest differentiating factors for your brand too. And people get frustrated because they're like, ChatGPT just doesn't get me. It's like, well, you need to tell it,
Yeah.
who you are, and then it will get you, you know?
Oh my gosh, so good. I mean, you need to rewind that and just take notes on all those categories. We'll put all the information in the show notes if you want to check out the blueprint method. Okay, we're going to ask some fun rapid fire really quick. What is your favorite
Ooh.
non-tech part of your daily routine?
Oh, what is my favorite? Probably hanging out on the couch drinking coffee with my dogs in the morning.
And I have to tell you, I thought that was a blanket behind you, but it's totally your dog. And it's like moving its head. I'm just like, oh, it's a real thing back there.
Oh yeah, you guys. So this is actually a year ago now. Because it was coming into like the first snow of the season, I remember. And like I was feeling sick, but I was like, so I have this amazing computer, like desktop computer that like I can't use my laptop now because I'm like, oh, it's so great. And I was like, okay, I need to get work done, but I'm feeling sick. I just want to like lay on the couch. So in my office, I actually had this like armchair. It was like left over from the previous owner of the house before this. And it was just been here. And I was like, oh, I bet I could like pull that over to my desk, that cushy armchair. So I pulled the cushy armchair to my desk, and I've been using this now, and instead of like the $200 desk chair that I bought, you know. But Willie, my dog, loves sitting behind me on like the cushion of the armchair behind me.
Love it. Okay, last but not least, when was the last time AI surprised you?
Oh man, these are so good, Holly. Okay. I'm not going to say it in a good way. And it wasn't really a surprise. It was kind of like of course, not again kind of thing, you know? Okay, here's the thing, you guys. I'm just going to go off on a little complaint tangent. I hope you're okay with that. Because when you're using tools like ChatGPT, especially, it's so funny because like you start using it every day in your business and stuff. You're like, yeah, and you can rely on it and stuff. And then ChatGPT has some days where I call them ChatGPT's PMS days, because it's just like, no, out of nowhere, like it's like giving me you know, right? Yeah. And like, so this always freaking happens, especially when OpenAI, or I think this happens for pretty much any LLM model, but when they're like doing back end development often, right? So you'll often see like it going off the walls or off the rails, and you're like, why are you acting so weird today? And then like a few days later, they'll introduce a new feature or a new model, right? So the other thing with ChatGPT is like the new models always suck right away. I don't know if you noticed this with 5.1. It happened with 5.0 too. And like as soon as I was like, okay, 5.0 is getting better, 5.0, then like they introduced 5.1. I'm like, 5.1, shut up. It's like so bad now and stuff. So anyway, I just wanted to share that because that was like kind of a surprise, but also just a grown moment. And also, if that ever happens, guys, like you're not alone. Like the like models act weird. They like suck sometimes. They do get better, but also you can always change like the model. In ChatGPT, if you go to the top, you can like say, I want my 4.0 back, or my 4.1 or my 5.0, you know, like you can change it. I usually do that, especially when like the new models just come out.
Yeah, such good advice. I feel like we could geek out on this topic for so long, and you always share like the most interesting things behind the scenes. So tell everyone where they can learn from you, connect with you, and learn more about AI.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me, Holly. This is so fun. You can connect with me at DIYwith.ai. So it's DIYwith.ai is my website. And then my Instagram is AI Kinsey or at Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs. I have two of them for some reason. The Authentic AI for Entrepreneurs is more like nerdy behind the scenes tips. The AI Kinsey is more like Kinsey's daily life and like thoughts and like soapboxes about AI stuff. So either one of those, send me a message. I love to chat with people in the DMs too.
Oh my gosh, so good. Thank you so much, Kinsey.